My chair keeps sinking. Keep getting tinier and tinier. It's Dracula's curse.
Dracula's curse is just you getting shorter?
Yeah, no, not shorter, smaller in all dimensions. That would be a good take on the Dracula mythos, I think.
Proportionally.
I can take you to a world where everything is small.
No, please. It's just like,
Hello.
no. Slowly.
Hello.
What are you doing, Brandon?
I'm testing my gain on my microphone because I don't want it to be too much.
Oh, those gains. It's true. You yell a lot, so.
I do. I get mad. I get upset.
Just like you yelled at me at the Applebee's.
I did not yell at you.
Chris,
Ethan dies tonight.
Ethan dies.
Brandon also refused.
Yeah, we
didn't
all
finish
watched
the movie.
Superbad at Applebee's, and you refused to log it.
We didn't finish it, did we?
Doesn't matter. We watched it at Applebee's.
You watched 4 minutes.
How did you watch it at Applebe's? Was it like on the Applebe's TV?
They were just playing it on the TVs. We're like, oh, let's watch Superbad while having our dinner.
The two sports games wrapped up, and they were like, "What do we put on now?" Yeah, Superbad, and already in motion. Already playing.
Already.
You should tell them to subscribe to Peacock and watch Halloween Kills.
Oh, if we could have watched that from the comfort of Applebee's instead, I think I would have raised that a few stars on Letterboxd. I'm not gonna lie.
God, oh my god, that fucking movie.
Let's do a little discussion of Halloween Kills because all of us have seen it.
And it's Halloweenathon.
Is this going in the episode? I feel like you should introduce me first. So
okay. Welcome back to Stacked episode 63. Halloweenathon continues. This week, we're not gaslighting anybody and saying that we're actually doing vampire movies this time.
My grandma said you were mean for doing that. And I
said, "Is your grandma gonna listen to this episode? Is your grandma
probably?
Okay. Grammy Winchester. I'm sorry. We didn't mean to bully.
It's Grammy Ostrander.
Grammy Ostrander. I'm sorry.
Grammy Winchester dead.
I didn't mean to. Grammy Winchester's dead. Rest in peace. Could be a vampire. You don't know. Anyways, we're doing vampire movies, and I had to bring the master of the vampires, Harrison
Blehoy, Blehaha.
The man who's been running the Dracula quest. If you follow him on Twitter,
right.
The man who knows all about Dracula.
I recently hit 50 Dracula movies, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you have to realize the overwhelming majority of Dracula movies are very, very bad.
Very bad.
Yeah,
50 movies is a lot of fucking movies in like.
That's true. Yeah, and about a year it took me to hit 50 movies.
About a year. Holy shit. Yeah, so we have no better person to talk about scary vampire movies than Harrison. But yeah, as we were saying, we all saw Halloween Kills last night.
Yes.
And
I wasn't with him, but I did see it last night.
Yeah. We simultaneously watched it.
Yeah.
And I drank some Dracula's juice at Applebee's.
Oh yeah.
When I saw that, it was $5 for Dracula's juice. This giant fish bowl.
It was like a goblet.
How was the Dracula's juice?
It was fucking amazing. It was like one of the best drinks. Best drinks I've ever had. You got to go to Applebee's. This is not a paid promotion. You got to go to Applebee's if you're over 21. Get the Dracula's juice. The zombie juice is also good. I don't remember what the zombie juice is called.
Okay.
What about the
Dracula's juice? It genuinely did look good, like the picture you sent.
Yeah, it was great. It was so good. Heavily recommend. Anyways, Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
What an awful movie. But it was
Drone lady. Too. She had a drone. That's my favorite character.
The old lady with the drone. I
forgot about that.
I want to know what the fucking concept meeting was that. Like,
I think she just had a drone. The actress had a drone, and they're like, put it in.
She's like, why don't I play with this? Come on, let me play with this.
That was in her trailer before they started shooting, and they were like, "Oh, we need you to do something to reveal Michael Myers later." And she's like, "Okay, this is kind of cool."
How about my drone?
The funniest shot of the movie is when Michael's like walking towards her, and then there's like an insert shot of him stepping on the drone. Like, wow, this callback to her classic drone as Michael destroys it.
The drone passed away, and it's asleep.
Yeah. I love the little like Danny DeVito penguin dude running around too.
Yeah.
And then you think they're gonna like do something with him, and then he just jumps out of a window.
And you see a POV shot.
They don't do anything with him. Why was he there?
He's just shuffling along as people literally run over each other trying to. I've never seen more hate directed towards one person than that poor innocent guy.
Not even Trump got that much hate.
What
does that have to do with anything?
There we go. Uncle Brandon bring politics back to the dinner table. God damn it. Can't take him anywhere.
Comedians can't push boundaries anymore. You know, you're not allowed to talk about politics. You're not, you know.
Oh. Yeah, but just like this hobbling little old man.
Have any of you like seen previous Halloween movies? Because I want to wonder. I want to know if Anthony Michael Hall was in any previous Halloween movie. Because he's acting like he knows like all the lore and stuff. And like, why? Yeah. Who is this character?
So he is the kid from their first one. I don't know if it's the same actor, but he is the kid that Laurie was babysitting.
I see. Okay,
I don't think it is. Cause like
I don't know if it is. It's Tommy. He plays Tommy.
I don't know if it's like he played.
I don't know if
in the original.
Yeah, no, because Paul Rudd played that character in Halloween. I think it was the 6th one. Paul Rudd was Tommy. Yeah. So I was like, are they gonna get Paul Rudd back for this one? But they didn't. They got
anyway. I mean, A-list celebrity. Yeah, I just glad to know what the deal with him was, and also how they did like a whole flashback to establish Lonnie, and then Lonnie just dies off screen. Like, that movie's a fucking mess. The whole movie's
such a mess.
To me, it felt like I leaned over to Ethan like halfway through the movie as like the characters from the original series were getting killed off or whatever, the first two, and I was like, why bring them back if you're just gonna kill them? You know, the movie's all about like legacy and stuff. You know,
especially the like nurse character. Yeah. Like she was only in the first movie for like 30 seconds. And then she's like, "This is for Dr. Loomis." You didn't know Dr. Loomis. You like drove him to a hospital. I don't know. It's really stupid.
Yeah,
it was really really bad.
I would consider that a vampire movie because it sort of like sucked like all the enjoyment I was having that night out into the screen.
Vampire movies.
But you gotta admit that insert shot in the movie of the lady screaming when she sees her son in the hospital. That's pretty.
Did you notice that, Harrison?
Yes, as soon as she opens her mouth, it goes boom.
In the morgue.
That is so fucking funny.
That was the best
part. That part, and when Michael like stabs the lady with the LED light for some reason.
Yeah,
those are my two favorite parts. I think
it was like the easy thing. You just went. Right into her throat.
It reminded me of like you know how like in old like 70s films, like 70s exploitation horror movies, when like they just kind of like jab the person with a knife or something because they don't really have the money to like do like fancy gore effects. It was like that, but this is like a huge like mega budget movie.
Yeah. No, not much thought put into the death of the drone lady, unfortunately. Oh well. Anyways,
so we've already spoiled so much about this movie. I just want to say, so Michael kills a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
But like the only like bystanders he kills, like the only like people that aren't hunting him that he kills, are an interracial couple and a gay couple.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about our friend Michael.
I don't know. Michael, like, I don't know. And then, like, the movie tries to be also very, like, ACAB. We're like, yeah, the system failed us. But then it's like, oh, but we're monsters because we didn't listen to the system when we killed this old Halloween penguin man.
Okay, that's my other favorite scene when Anthony Michael Hall, like, looks, like, almost directly at the camera and he's like, Michael's made monsters of us all. It's such a good line.
It's just, oh my god. Yeah, but to quote the great Count Dracula, it sucked. So
he did say that. He does say
perfect segue. We're doing vampire movies. Everyone knows what a vampire movie is. Come on, we don't need to sort of define that. I'm sure we all follow the rules here in picking out vampire movies. So before we get into the picks, let me run down the rules of the show. Once a week, we set a topic or theme, go our separate ways, construct our own 3-film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we'll mix and match our 9 films to make the ultimate decision on what quintessential 3-film stack we are checking out of this hypothetical video store. Harrison, our esteemed guest, you are up first with your first vampire movie.
Awesome. So, I guess you could say I've been preparing for this moment my whole life. I was cursed by Dracula to watch all of his movies. So I've seen many Dracula movies. I've also seen many vampire movies in general, though. I'm sort of a big vampire head. Sort of a big Cardi guy. Sort of a vamp.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no. So, I don't know. I was trying to think of, like, 3 movies that, like, not necessarily are the best vampire movies, although I think they are very good, but they like encapsulate the entirety of like everything that the genre has to offer. Right. And for my first, I chose what I think is probably a pretty obvious one that a lot of people love. What We Do in the Shadows. Great
triple stack.
Great flick.
Triple stack. That's a triple stack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no. This one.
I mean, it is a classic.
A modern classic. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about
incredible.
What We Do in the Shadows and why it's.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Made by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clements, who are both have sort of their own. Jermaine Clements especially has a big background in comedy, so it's a very funny movie. It is a mockumentary about a trio of vampire flatmates. Or I guess technically there's a 4th one. There's the old Nosferatu dude who lives in the basement, who are flatmates in New Zealand, and they're very pathetic, and they're bad vampires. They're not good at what they do. Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny movie. They make a new vampire over the course of the movie, and there's sort of this conflict as he is getting acclimated into vampire society by 3 vampires who are incredibly terrible at what they do.
Yes. Yeah,
funny movie.
Very, very funny movie. I was so close to picking this one for horror comedies, but I knew I had to hold out to use this for vampire movies because I think it's such a good horror comedy by breaking down the mythology of vampires and like sort of twisting it on its head by putting it in like this modern setting and using this mockumentary sort of style of filmmaking. I love that we get so many types of vampires in this movie, you know?
Really? There's the Nosferatu. So each one is very deliberate, like Taika Waititi's character. I don't remember any of the names, sorry. Right. He's like Viago. Viago, he's like the Lestat, like the sexy dandy vampire, even though he's not sexy at all. That's that's what he's parodying. There is Harry Guy, Jermaine Clements' character. He's like the Dracula type, the classic, the Dracula. Then you have Deacon, who's like the Lost Boys, like leather jacket, bad boy, hair slick back, sloppy steaks at Trufani's vampire.
Kind of.
That's him. Yeah, but yeah, you know, all these very deliberate like parodies on like different eras of vampires. And also, I really like how like these are maybe like the most like traditional vampires in any movie. Like they have all the traditional mythology, like more so than like the old Dracula even.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they're in this very modern setting. So seeing them like turn into cats with human faces is very funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like fucking cat faces. Holy shit. Brandon, you triple stacked. What do you think of What We Do in the Shadows?
Well, it's probably top 2 or 3 Taika Waititi film for me. I often say it's like my favorite, but it kind of, with his filmography, it kind of like moves around a lot when I rewatch certain like films of his. But here it kind of pokes fun at the vampire genre in a way that, I mean, I think is perfect because for me, I don't think I take vampires as seriously as most Sorry, Harrison.
Vampires are very funny. They're very funny and goofy. Yeah. I don't find them remotely scary.
Yeah, and I think like that this highlights why I feel that way about this, because like my sister, when we were growing up, she would be watching like the Vampire Diaries show on the CW, and that like gave me the connotation they're not scary, they just have like human things that they have to deal with. And this kind of plays with like it feels like a Christopher Guest movie from the 90s where he's playing with that mockumentary style, this is Spinal Tap, Best His Show, Waiting for Guffman, stuff like that, where you're like, you can't help but laugh at these characters because they're taking it so like straight face when it's like not something that you would normally see in a mockumentary format. Like at least with those films they're grounded, and at least with the mockumentary sitcoms we got, like those are also grounded. Here it's like you have a spin on it, and you have these characters who are all caricatures and like make you laugh regardless, because one like the one that's Sloppy Steaks at Trefani, the bad boy, he's Deacon. So like
the real Deacon. Piece of shit.
The real piece of shit. He's like so like deadpan in this movie in comparison, but it gives like Taika Waititi so much room to play. And like honestly, I feel like he's my favorite part of the movie here. Like the way he delivers his lines and stuff like that, and plays out the others in the group. It's great, and anybody with roommates can relate to this. I feel like to a certain extent.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My favorite character is probably Jackie. She's not in the movie enough.
Yeah.
But she's very funny.
One who wants to be a vampire.
Yeah, she's great. Because she has like a husband and 2 kids, and she's also like working for these vampires. It's very funny. I like it a lot.
I do like the dude who wants to be a vampire. He's like, "This sucks. Can't eat fish and chips anymore. This sucks."
Oh yeah,
it's one of my favorite lines.
The new vampire. He's like, "Can't even eat chips anymore. That's my favorite food.
That's my favorite food. This sucks."
But let's pour one out for that like werewolf spinoff they never did.
Yeah.
Oh, were they gonna do one?
Yeah.
Another thing I'll add on really quick. Another thing I really like about this movie is it's not a super like commentary heavy movie, but there definitely is something about how like this like documentary, like what's the TV channel that does all the bizarre documentaries? Do you know the one? What is that called?
It's like,
what do you mean? Like
Fox News?
Like
no,
not Fox.
No, they'll be like I don't know. They do like a bunch of like reality shows and like documentary reality shows. Like this is a person who is really fucked up in some way, and we're just gonna film them.
Yeah, TLC. Yes. Yeah, My Strange Addiction, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. There's sort of this because these vampires, they're like really murdering people in real life. Like they're sucking people's blood and killing them, and there's like they don't hide that. Like Deacon was a Nazi. Like he lived through Nazi Germany, and he was a Nazi. They make it very clear that these are very bad people, and yet because of this like documentary style, you are made to sympathize with them. And I think that's like an interesting commentary on like this sort of TLC-ification of like this is what they do. They like find some like fucked up dude, and they're like, this is funny. This is funny. We'll talk about this.
Yeah.
Like it's
exactly.
I don't know. It's very interesting.
It's very
I also like I'm a big fan of the TV show, too. What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
I haven't seen it yet.
A big difference between that and this is What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. And it's still very good. But it feels like it's written to be a comedy. Whereas this, like, it feels like a documentary. Like, you think you're looking at, like, real people. And it's not played for laughs. It just is, like, situationally funny. And I really like that. I think it's very clever. It's very cool.
Yes. Yes. Very good. Chris. What do you think about What You Do in the Shadows? You're the only one who didn't pick this movie. What's your reason?
I'm the only one who has not seen this movie. It's my
you haven't seen it?
Really? What?
Yeah, this is my last Taika movie.
This is the last one you haven't seen?
No, I haven't seen Bird and Eagle or whatever that's called.
Oh, Eagle versus Shark?
Yeah. I haven't heard this movie. Sorry, I have heard of this movie a lot, but I haven't seen it. I've seen like maybe like 10 minutes of this movie because I remember I was sitting with Tori at her place once, and it was on, and I was just hanging out at hers. But yeah, I mean, like, it's Taika. I've never been disappointed by any of Taika's films. I've actually, I think I've liked or loved all of his movies so far.
Yeah.
So, and I have no reason to think that this would be any different because I kind of fucking love this concept because, I mean, vampire mockumentary, and also, like, leave it to Taika, man. Like, no one else could have directed this, and I haven't even fucking seen this movie yet.
Yeah, this is right. Chris. You gotta watch
it. I agree. His style like really lends itself to this very well. His ability to like take these like I would I don't know. I wouldn't exactly compare it to what's the fucking movie called, Jojo Rabbit? I wouldn't exactly compare it to that, but all of these characters are like very similar to the imaginary Hitler in that movie, where it's like they're genuinely awful fucking people, but they're so goofy.
Right. Yeah. It's hard not to sort of get with their
shit. Give a chuckle.
Give a little chuckle. Give a little laugh. Give a little ha ha.
Gawk.
Gawk.
Something like that. Yeah.
Or a little You know what I'm saying? Because come on, there.
One laugh.
One laugh.
Two laugh.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Great first pick, Harrison, because I also picked it and Brandon also picked it. So apparently very popular. Chris, what is your first vampire movie?
All right. Well, my first one's a lot more of a downer of a movie compared to What We Do in the Shadows. It's kind of like where I got started with my world of vampire movies. It's Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, directed by F.W. Murnau in 1922.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Very good movie. Yeah.
I think for many of us, this was kind of everyone's first jump into the world of German Expressionism, other than maybe Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah, Caligari was mine, I think.
Yeah,
but
it was mine too.
Yeah. Nosferatu, I mean, it's a German movie from the 20s, so it really does kind of echo that 1920s, kind of that very like early stage in the world of cinema. It's a very like eerie movie and can really get under your skin, especially if you are troubled by the image of Nosferatu, which especially when I first saw this movie, I was. There's like, there's the classic shot of him, standing in that doorway, and of course the iconic shadow on the wall going up the stairs. This movie has kind of, I suppose in a weird way, become an iconic piece of filmmaking. Probably not among like large masses, but among people who really do love film and look back on this movie, it's really something special. There's something kind of old-fashioned about this movie that I really love, and this was probably for its time the undisputed scariest movie ever made. I mean, granted, not many movies were made at the time, but
I would agree.
Yeah, this movie is terrifying, especially if you're scared of vampires. Something, and like even to this day, this movie actually, I think at least to me, holds up really well, because I feel like that kind of old like 1920s style of filmmaking has made this even more scary because it feels so foreign to us, and I don't know, it just feels like a cryptic, archaic, like terrifying thing that you'd stumble into, I mean, that's about it. Like it hasn't aged amazingly well in certain other areas. Like its structure is old-fashioned, and like, if you're not a film person, this is going to be boring as hell. But its historical significance and haunting style is really something, to be preserved. And that's why I picked this movie. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, or the nail on the coffin. That like this movie gets better and better with age, because like I feel like the age in the film itself and how like just old looking it is lends to like the gothic aesthetic of it all and the expressionism of it all. Like it feels like an uncovered like you pulled this out of Nosferatu's or Dracula's crypt. You found this tape, and you you dusted it off and you put it in, and now you're watching this creepy tale, with this bald headed fuck and his fucking long ass fucking fingers. But yeah, it's just like if you know the story of Dracula, like this movie, it's very simply paced, I would say. I think you're right, Chris. Like if you don't have the patience for it, which I don't think a lot of people do these days, which is unfortunate, but if you do have the patience, I think you'll be heavily rewarded for like just how creepy this movie is, I watched this movie for the first time on my iPhone, and I was like, oh, it's okay. oh, it's okay, okay. And then I rewatched it on like a big screen. I was like, whoa, oh, whoa, wait, wow. And I was like, yeah, you just it's something you gotta watch on a big screen and just like take in the details of its age and just like how the age of the frame like plays into like inside the frame of the film. I don't know. It's super cool. Harrison, what do you think about?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. Out of all the like movies that Dracula has forced me to watch because of his curse and all that, I this is maybe my favorite. There's a few front runners, but it's definitely up there. It's very cool. Again, like this expressionist silent film style works so well. It's like it's really like a nightmare. It's like just sort of this dreamlike quality to it. Because of sort of everything's sort of foggy and sort of hazy. You have the really weird silent film colors, which would make sense to an audience back then, because like audiences recognize that like, okay, blue means it's this time of day, orange means it's this time of day, but we don't really have that now. And so it's just fucking weird to look at in like the best way possible. And I don't know. I really don't think it's that boring, honestly. I think it's a really engaging movie just because, I don't know, everything about it is so weird. It is really a really alien movie, like, in this time period. And I think that makes it really engaging. For me, it's really easy to watch, honestly.
It is, because, like, if you're paying attention to everything in the frame, like, you're just noticing all these details and how that's aged. And that, for people like us, it's very interesting. But I don't think, like, other people would, like... I don't know.
I really liked it when I was a child, so like I don't know.
Yeah. You were raised by the Addams Family, Harrison. We all know this.
Yeah, I think it might have been my first vampire movie because it was like on it used to be on Netflix, I think, like millions of years ago, and I was like, oh, this looks. I've heard of this. It was in SpongeBob, and I watched it. Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun movie. I love the hyena that's supposed to be like a werewolf, I think. He's reading the book and he's like, there's werewolves in these woods, and then it like cuts to a shot of a hyena running around. That's really fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Brandon, what do you think about Nosferatu?
It's okay.
Here it comes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a big vampire person, as I've said. And whenever I watched the movie, granted, it was one of the first of its kind to go over the vampire genre in film. Like, you know, it definitely was like one of the first of its kind, but that doesn't mean it doesn't follow the stereotypical like vampire formula. And what I mean by that is that, like, the first half of the film is like surrounding like some innocent traveler from outside or inside.
The first half is very formulaic.
Yeah, which is like, you know, so it's not slow in the sense of like, oh, it's boring. It's just I've seen it before, you know?
Right.
And it's like that Dracula figure takes advantage of that person. They run off, and or if they've been bitten or they've been like sucked their blood or whatever, like something may happen to that person, something may not. But like the first half is very formulaic, and then the second half didn't do enough for me to like differentiate itself and make it like above other Dracula films I've seen. I was much more impressed by the 1930s Dracula, Bela Lugosi's one.
That surprises me.
Yeah, but
that for me, that one's like the most formulaic Dracula movie.
Maybe because I watched that one when I was younger first, because I didn't see this one until last year, and my first experience with Nosferatu was with SpongeBob as well, and I remember thinking the picture that they used was so terrifying, even if it was played for laughs in the episode, and being like, oh. But now, like, I'm just like, you know. But I'm not really scared of a lot of stuff. I work at a haunted. I work with like haunted house stuff. Like, it's like.
So when I say like Nosferatu is scary, like I don't mean like I have a blanket over my face and I'm shivering.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. Like that's what I mean. It's cool. You know.
It's cool.
You guys, do you know the history of like why this movie still exists? Right? Have you heard this story?
No, what's the history?
So
history lesson with Harrison.
It was based on the book Dracula, obviously, without permission from like the Bram Stoker estate. So they like ordered for like every copy of the movie to be burned. And the only reason the movie is still around is because of like piracy and people like passing this movie around illegally. And that's the only reason we still have it, which I think is pretty neat.
Very cool. And yeah, pirate's life for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
I will say the scale of the movie and the production design is amazing, and that's just German expressionism on it. Like for something that was made in the 1920s, that the fact that they shot outside, but also were able to like do stuff like with German expressionism with buildings and stuff like that is pretty impressive. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, definitely. That like I don't know how well I can explain this to you guys. It's just like, especially in the 1920s, if you go back all the way then, shooting film is so hard. Like it is, this is like, and a film like this with this level of scale in the 1920s is no small feat. Like it is like I can't even begin to explain like how difficult it is to shoot film in general, let alone film in the 1920s before they had any kind of the technology we have now. Nowadays you can pick up a camera and just throw it on and shoot whatever, but like if you had a camera in the 1920s and didn't have lights, nothing would happen. Like that, the film would just go black.
Right.
So
yeah,
think about that.
Yeah, I love, speaking of the sets, I love the sets in this movie because they're like I would compare it to Dr. Caligari, where in Dr. Caligari, everything is like super expressionist and super like nightmarish and malformed to the extent that it's very, very, very obviously a set. And that's a cool look. I'm not necessarily complaining, but I prefer in this movie where it's very heavily stylized, but they're using like natural environments that they found. And I don't know, it's really cool the way they're able to like make it this stylized while also feeling real. Like it's a real castle. Like, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
it's cool. The tangibility
cool.
of it all, you know?
Right. It's so cool. Yeah.
It's so cool. Chris Pratt, he's so cool. All right, let's go into the second round here. That was pretty fast. Harrison, let's talk about your second vampire movie.
Okay, so I started with What We Do in the Shadows, which is pretty famous, popular vampire movie. I don't know, they're all Draculas, I guess, in a way. I'm gonna get a little more obscure from here. So this is a movie I like a lot. Out of all the like Dracula movies I've seen, it's one that I like because it feels like the people making it were making something very personal to them, and that is Blacula, the 70s blaxploitation Dracula movie. I know you say Blacula and you would hear that and be like, that can't be a good movie. It's a great fucking movie. It's really good.
Tell us about Blacula. I don't think any of us have seen it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah, you should. It's really good. So I will say, like a preface, no production value whatsoever to this movie. The production is like super amateurish, but I think it's in a way that's like charming. It's got that like exploitation charm to it. It's about so in the I think 1700s, there's this African prince named Mamuwalde who goes to Transylvania. He's sent to Transylvania by his tribe or his country. I forget the name of. They say what it is in the movie. It's like this like hunting tribe. They're very esteemed. They're pretty wealthy, and so they have the resources to send Mamuwalde to Transylvania to talk to, I guess, Count Dracula is like the most esteemed European dignitary they could find. So they send him to talk to Count Dracula, and he's trying to appeal to Dracula to stop the slave trade. And Dracula would say this, and he says, and I quote, "The slave trade has some merit, I think." And then he turns Mamuwalde into a vampire, names him Blacula, which Mamuwalde never says again in the movie. Pretty sure he fucking hates being named Blacula. But he locks him up in a coffin because his punishment is to like be cursed with a vampire's hunger, but be locked in this coffin for all eternity. Off screen, the events of Dracula play out. So at some point, Van Helsing shows up, kills Dracula, and so the castle is abandoned now. And this gay couple, these two dudes, come in and they like buy like a bunch of stuff from the castle, including the coffin. So they take it to some city I want to say New York, not positive about that, where they open the coffin, Mama Walde comes out, he sucks their blood, and from there it's sort of this: the good guys have to stop the vampire in time. But there's two really interesting things about this movie. The first is that I think it's the origin of the like Dracula reincarnation plot, like where Dracula's like, my reincarnated love, I must see you again. That's like this is the origin of that. This is the first Dracula movie where that ever happened, where his love interest is like the reincarnation of his old love interest,
right?
And he's trying to like swoon her. And the other really interesting thing about this movie is it's like very not subtle whatsoever, very heavy political commentary, which is really awesome because the real villains of this movie aren't Dracula. They're like this really incompetent and corrupt police force.
Yeah.
Like I said, Dracula's first two victims are this gay couple, and because they're a gay couple, the police like just don't investigate it. So the like doctor who's like trying to track down Mama Walde, he like has to go through all these hoops in order to get information because the police just don't want to work on this case. And it's very interesting. There's more stuff like that. The ending especially has some like very strong messaging about that, but I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, it's really cool movie.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, the concept of Blacula is so... I feel like it's so iconic, but nobody's actually really, like, seen the movie for themselves.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of Blacula, I just think of Dracula from Billy and Mandy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Voiced by Phil Lamar. Like, and I love that. I love Dracula. Yeah, I really want to see this movie. It sounds like it does everything that like Halloween Kills fails to do. Sort of like,
yeah, I mean, in like the commentary on the police, I would agree. I mean, it's and also like it's goofy like Halloween Kills is too, but like I feel like Halloween Kills is like goofy like by accident. Whereas this movie is goofy because they were just having a fun time making a movie. Like, multiple vampires get punched out during this movie. Like, a vampire lunges at someone and they just punch them in the face and knock them out. There's also a character named Skillet who has no connection to the plot. He's like friends with the doctor who's the main character, and his only purpose is he's in two scenes where Mama Walde shows up and then leaves, and then Skillet walks up and says, "Man, that is one weird dude." That's the only reason that character is there. He's sort of like a Greek chorus.
Oh, so prolific. Brandon, what do you think about Blacula?
I've heard of this movie. I've heard it's very interesting. I've heard mixed things. Some people say it's like very like high quality exploitation of the time, and how it like kind of plays into. It's a unique blaxploitation film because often it's like you see them as police officers or whatnot, but it's interest or private investigators. Whereas here it's like they're playing against that idea.
Well, there you go.
God, not again.
Dracula silenced him. Silence, fool! Blah! He got hit with the Dracula stare.
It's because we established Dracula's a racist. He doesn't want us talking about this movie.
No, but like, yeah, like Dracula being like, slavery. I don't know. I kind of like it.
That's like how he says it. He says slavery has some merit, I believe.
Some merits. Like, Dracula's had slaves, but it's never. I feel like it's never been racially biased. So like,
no. I mean, this answer, like, I'm sure someone at some point in time has been like, "Oh, Dracula's immortal. I wonder what he was up to during the slave trade," and this movie answers that.
That's amazing. Oh my god, Chris. All right, well, Brandon's frozen. Chris, tell us. Okay, where'd he go? Chris, what do you think about Blacula?
So I have not seen anything from this movie. I've heard of it a ton. Yeah, I don't know. I have like a bit of an interesting relationship with blaxploitation cinema, just because like I don't know. It's interesting to me to like how like it's such like a up and down kind of thing for me with how like how to put this, like ethnic minorities are kind of like shifted into this whole kind of subgenre and like in this way. And like, you know, there's that whole conversation about whether or not like these kinds of films either proliferate hurtful stereotypes or help uplift like artists into being able to create the kinds of films that they want. And I mean, so there's, it's kind of like a double, like there's a great thing about this, and there's some maybe not so great things about this, but regardless of that conversation, which is a whole other can of worms that we don't need to get into right now, is that like I do definitely see the value of how these kinds of films existing can help elevate and maybe even like amplify voices of like Black artists, especially like for the time this movie, like I mean this whole this movie and like the entire Blaxploitation subgenre really came about in conjunction with the civil rights movement. There's all that, but yeah, I mean I don't know very much about this movie. I fully believe that this is hilarious because like if anyone knows me at all, you know that race comedy is something that I find hilarious.
I don't. Okay, that's a little odd.
Cut that out. Cut that
out. Oh yeah. No, but I'm gonna say this one's not as funny as a lot of Blaxploitation movies are. This isn't like your P.D. Wheatstraw. This is a pretty serious movie. It is funny. There's a lot of goofy moments in it, but it takes itself fairly seriously.
Okay.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
Also, you mentioned like giving voices to like minorities or whatever. It's some bullshit like that. This movie is part of like a movement that's like called the LA Rebellion. Including like William Crane, who's the director who made this movie. This isn't like a major cinematic movement. This is just like a little thing that happened. But it was like a bunch of like young black filmmakers making movies that were very personal to them. And so it is it's like that. I don't think there was any like huge studio behind this. It was just like these filmmakers with like a nothing budget, just like making a movie that they wanted to make.
Yeah, and that's the dream right there. That's how we got Blacula. That's awesome. All right. It's only been Harrison and Chris presenting movies so far. Yeah. But Chris, it's time for you to present your second vampire movie.
What about
Brandon got frozen. Brandon has to go still. He has to talk about Blacula.
Oh, yeah. I mean, continue about Blacula. I'm sorry.
No, I've been very curious to see this movie. I've heard like mixed things about it, but honestly, I think it's gonna be good based on what I've heard. Like some is unintentionally funny, but like in a way that like Harrison said, it takes itself seriously enough to the point where like there's a message behind it, which is very interesting.
I will say you have to overlook the dog shit production value for this movie. The audio especially is really lacking at points. Like they're in these like really echoey rooms, and like it's bad. It's really bad. But I think it's kind of charming.
Yeah. Gotta love that. Like, just makes it a bit more homemade, you know? I don't know. All right, Chris, let's go on to your second vampire movie now.
Okay, well, I started my first pick with kind of the gothic origins of vampire films. So I'm gonna switch gears and take us to the absolute dog shit pit of where vampire films went after that.
Don't you dare fucking pick. All right.
So we went from this kind of terrifying portrait of monsters to very schlocky 2000s B movies. So here we are. I am picking the 2008 film directed by Catherine Hardwicke, Twilight.
God damn it, Chris.
I mean, this is one of the seminal works in Dracula, or sorry, not Dracula, but in vampire media.
So in that, we have to choose Vampire Sucks then. Just kidding.
No.
Oh
man,
God.
All right.
Okay.
Tell us about Twilight.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let me start by saying the one good thing that I will say about this movie is that it introduced the world to Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, who are both amazing now as actors.
Yeah.
But
what about Taylor Lautner? He was in Ridiculous
Taylor
Six,
Lautner,
Adam Sandler, classic.
He's doing great in his career. But Jesus,
I don't think he was in this one though, was he?
Was he in this one?
I think he was in the second.
I think he's in the second.
He started in the second.
He's in the second one. Yeah.
But Jesus fucking Christ, like this movie feels like it's constantly like seconds away from giving me an aneurysm, man. Like this movie, like nothing makes any sense. And it's insane to me. Like, why is everyone in this movie so creepy? And like, this movie has like, I watched this movie not recently, but like maybe a month or so ago, because one of my roommates put it on and we were like, all right, screw it, let's do it. And this movie romanticizes like toxic relationships with such an intense amount of like discomfort and cringeworthiness that it can be a lot to endure. And I mean, like, that's even like that. Separate that from like the vampire part of this movie. The vampire-ness of this movie is just bizarre. For example, instead of being like scared or whatever of sunlight, the reason that they don't go in sunlight and is because they get shiny when they're in the sunlight. That is, it's
like a vampire detector.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like what gives them away. It's not even something that's dangerous to them. Everything.
So if I sweat, I'm gonna get killed in this universe.
Yeah, probably, to be honest. Everything just feels phoned in this movie. It's hilariously bad. There are so many times throughout this movie where you'll just look at the screen and just laugh because there's just like, it's ridiculous. And this movie can be a good time if like you're in for a so bad it's good kind of movie. But beyond that, yeah. I mean, so like, why did I pick this movie? Honestly, I don't really know. Like, I guess like my goal with this one is kind of like to show like just like where vampire as a genre has went at one point in time. And like the interesting thing about it is like, for many people, this is what they think of when they think of vampire movies. And I think that's very saddening because there are much better movies out there to display this. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about Twilight?
Yeah, I haven't seen Twilight. I know a few things about it, but I haven't seen it. I know August, who, if you're not aware, Ethan and I are on a D&D podcast, J&D. August is also on that podcast. He loves this movie.
Really?
Which, yeah, maybe not loves it, but he's talked about how he likes watching it and enjoys watching it. When we were talking about like Halloween one-shots to do, he proposed a Twilight-themed one-shot, which I think we immediately shot down.
Yeah,
but
checks out.
Yeah, no, I mean that's like I don't really know much about this movie, but I don't think I would hate it because I enjoy watching like really bad movies. I don't know. I think I would enjoy it. I'm a big fan of Freddy Got Fingered. It's like one of my favorite movies just because it's like a genuine struggle to watch it and I enjoy that challenge. So if this movie is in a similar vein to that, I might like it. I don't know.
It's not that bad, to be honest.
Okay, then I wouldn't like it. Never mind.
I just...
What? It's just like, it's always just a little bit with you, just a little bit, of course, just... but man...
It's a movie. It's like out of all of the, I've only seen 3 of the 5 Twilights. The first one and the last 2.
That's a lot.
That's pathetic.
And the last 2 are the last two are ass 2. They're so bad.
Good one, dude. Good one. That's a good one.
But they're bad in a way that you watch it and you laugh. But like it's because it's like it gets so absurd, like with this werewolf vampire war and like with their child hybrid, that it's like, oh, it's super silly on purpose, right? No, it's not. It's they're taking it way too seriously. So but the original, at least. It's like the remake of, or not the remake, the sequel to I know we're bringing up David Gordon Green's Halloween movies. It's like that movie. It's like the first Halloween where it like unintentionally is funny sometimes and it kind of benefits from it.
The first new Halloween?
Yeah, the 2018 one.
Right, okay.
And it sort of benefits from that. But then there is some like genuinely like good heartfelt moments in there with the relationship. I just don't know how I can take a vampire human like romance like this that's like off limits or whatever seriously. It's just okay though. It's like an average, below average movie.
All right. Twilight. Yeah, I've never seen it.
You're not missing anything. Twilight.
No,
you're really not.
Okay.
Watch it.
I have a feeling I'm gonna watch it soon though.
honestly, like, I'd be down to watch it with you just to cringe for a bit. But yeah.
Meh. All right.
But the North Marathon, next door with the North Marathon.
Ooh, honestly, yeah. There's 5 of these. But yeah, let's do it.
All right, Brandon, you finally get to present. What is your second vampire movie?
It's a 2000 movie, directed by what's this guy's name?
I don't know.
You're thinking of Dracula 2000 with
yes.
With what's his name? Christopher Plummer
That's not it. It's directed by Uli Edel. 2000 movie. The Little Vampire, starring Jonathan Lipnicki.
Oh shit!
Little Vampire.
I think I saw that movie when I was like 5. I don't remember anything about it. But
you've never heard of this? Oh, you've never heard of this movie?
Yeah. Oh. No, I remember little fucking ginger twerp Jonathan lip nipple or whatever his fucking name is. I remember
Richard E. Grant's in it. And this is a movie about a little kid who basically wants a friend in his life, and he runs into a little vampire, a little boy his age, who happens to be a vampire, who is like hundreds of years older than him, and he becomes and Jonathan Lipnicki's character becomes a vampire too, because he needs his life saved or whatever, and they basically have to save this town and save his family, but the vampires are kind of racist towards him at first, because they're sweet. He's not pure. But it's a really wholesome movie. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it is one that I hold in high regard from my childhood. It's a very funny movie. Honestly, it's so bad it's good at points. At other points, it's just like Stuart Little with vampires. I'll say that.
I can't keep my eyes off this poster. Just Jonathan Lipnicki going, I'm a little vampire. And I just hope that's the whole movie.
It kind of is, to be honest. That's the DVD cover too. I have the DVD back home, I think.
Well, bring it here. What are you doing? You're slacking. You were just in Arizona. You'd bring it here.
Hey, let me go check my DVD collection.
No, don't. Chris,
let's take a quick break to watch Little Vampire.
I have not even heard of this movie before.
Wait, hold on a second. He's actually checking his DVD collection. I just heard him, his little feet flopping down the hall. He's running to his DVD books. Brad, don't do that. Get back here. I'm coming. All right, Chris, talk about Little Vampire.
Oh, I don't have anything to say.
More
about
like I'm gooning.
I don't even know. I didn't even know this movie existed until 20 seconds ago. I don't know. Richard E. Grant's in it. Jonathan Lipnicki. I know he's in Stuart Little and Jerry Maguire.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Kid Vampire. All right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool. All right. Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
I mean, I have vague memories of this movie. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch it again. Maybe I'll go on a little nostalgia trip, because I remember seeing this when I was a tiny kid. I don't remember anything about this except I remember there were vampire cows. I remember that scene. There's cows that float up into the air because they're vampires.
I do see them on the poster. Yes, the vampire cows swooping in.
I believe there is a recent maybe Netflix animated remake of The Little Vampire. I remember seeing that and that reminds me of this old movie I saw.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one, but I remember seeing that in passing.
Wow. Little Vampire, bigger than I thought. Jim. God,
it is sort of one of the classic vampire franchises.
Only the classics, guys. Only the fucking classics.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Little Vampire. All right, my turn. I get to finally present a film.
Can I guess what yours is? Does it start with an N?
No.
Okay, damn it. Okay. Okay. All right.
Not yet. No, so my second film is I wanted to take the vampire story in a different direction.
Did you say something,
I don't know.
Sean?
I feel like you said, Brandon, we were talking about Nosferatu, like, so much of vampire media has been based on Bram Stoker's story, you know? And, like, the classic Count Dracula character and story, that whenever... Okay, Brandon, you can't flip through the DVDs. That's picking up on the microphones. That's going to...
I'm so sorry. I just found Family Guy season.
Close the book, honey, please. Okay, yeah, thank you for muting. He's set on finding this little vampire movie. Okay, so I'm picking a Mexican vampire movie directed by one of the most prolific horror filmmakers out there, Guillermo del Toro. I'm picking Cronos.
Yes!
Yeah, it is a very different vampire movie, but very much still plays with the themes of mortality, grief, you know, and like the thirst and how that like affects you, the thirst for staying alive, and how that's represented in like the thirst for blood. And it's such a tragic story because the vampirification happens to someone who doesn't really deserve it, you know? It's this old man who runs his antique shop with his granddaughter, I believe, right? And he comes across this little beetle amulet, and
Dracula's
amulet, yeah. And like instead of a vampire biting you, you get pricked by the amulet, and that sort of turns you into the vampire in this story. And it's a slow. Oh, there it is. Okay,
oh, there's a little vampire.
Fuck.
That little child soy jack face. There it is.
Oh, I can't even think about Cronos now. I just want to watch a little vampire now. Damn, it's all I'm thinking about, a little vampire. No, so Guillermo del Toro, like he tells this tale using sort of, you know, he's a very fairy tale like director with his dark gothic aesthetic, which sort of makes it all the more tragic in his films. And it's certainly like that here, where you're seeing this dude slowly be overtaken by this hunger and this desire to stay alive, because he has incentives to do so, to take care of like his family and his daughter and stuff like that. And you see how that affects him and the people around him. And I think I wouldn't necessarily call it body horror of it, but like sort of the transformation this character makes is pretty horrific. You know, I think it's one of the most horrific vampire transformations. You don't really see a vampire transformation movie. Usually when you become a vampire, like, you just get paler and your fangs grow. But like here, it's like this dude just like, I don't know, it's slow and it's tragic, and it's just like, it's such it's just a sad, moody film. And a real love letter to vampires, because Guillermo del Toro, he did grow up with, like, you know, with that Bram Stoker Dracula and all the Universal monsters and stuff like that, and just him adding his own flavor from his own culture into it. It makes it so cool, and it's such a great watch. Harrison, what do you think of Cronos?
Yeah, I saw Cronos several years ago when I went on like my Guillermo del Toro kick. I don't remember it super well, but I do remember enjoying it a lot. Ron Perlman's in it. I like Ron Perlman.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That funny looking dude. Who is it? There's somebody we know, like a friend of ours, I don't remember whose mom like worked on a set where Ron Perlman was once, and he ran over a PA with a golf cart, and like they never paid for it.
What?
I don't remember which I don't remember which friend of ours that was, but it's someone we know.
Like, what isn't August's parents like in the biz?
One of August's parents like works in advertising or something, I think. I don't think it was him though. I don't remember. I'm sorry. It was one of our friends, but yeah, no, Ron Perlman's funny. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Brandon, you're raising.
Great movie though. You should all watch it.
Yes, great movie. What do you think about Cronos?
I have seen Cronos. It's good. It's interesting to call it a vampire film.
It is a vampire film. That's why you would call it a vampire film.
Mm-hmm. I just don't remember it being a vampire film. I just don't remember it. I remember it being a different kind of blood sucking. What? I don't want to spoil Kronos. It's not really a well-known film. It's a very good film though. It's very interesting. It feels. I said it in my review for it, and I don't really. It's been a while. It's been like 3 or 4 years, I think. But I remember first seeing it, and I still hold it true to this day. This is what I do remember, is that it feels like an R-rated family film. Because it's very much the focus of this grandfather and granddaughter character, and that like relationship and how he needs to stay alive for her. And the way he has to do that is through like immoral means. But in that way, it's kind of beautiful and touching, which is a unique... Because often when you think vampires, you don't think that. You think like cold and calculated and kind of like boring.
Yeah.
That's what I think when I think vampires, because they sleep at night, they can't leave their house, and like all they do is like suck blood. But there's actually like more moral consequences to it than that. And they kind of explore that in the movie really well. And how does a regular human kind of take to that? I do think at times it's a bit over the top with its over characterization of people, especially around Perlman. Yeah. It makes the movie enjoyable, but I don't think it helps with like the main story, you know, because the main story is like its own separate thing, and then he's like added into it because he has to play the antagonist, you know?
Yeah.
Other than the situation. So, but yeah.
Definitely.
Good movie.
Yeah. Chris, have you seen Kronos?
No, but I actually had no idea that at one point in his career, Del Toro did a vampire movie.
This is like one of his first movies,
I think that was
right?
pretty early into his career.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, like, if someone said to me like, "Oh, hey Chris, you get to choose the director for this upcoming vampire movie," like Del Toro's pretty high up on the list. I would probably say Robert Eggers, but like we know he's doing the new Nosferatu movie, so
yeah,
that's exciting. But yeah, I have no doubt that Del Toro did something fantastic with this, because I mean he's the modern monster filmmaker. You know, I feel like he's the guy you call if you need that, and like he knows this genre like the back of his hand. So I have no doubt that he's done something wonderful with this movie, and I believe everything you guys said about it. So yeah, I'm sold.
Hell yeah! All right, well,
scary.
Well then, let's get into
if
the
you
final
don't watch
round.
all my movies, you will go to hell.
No, Dracula, no. All right, let's get into the final round here. Yeah. Yep, with your last vampire film. Hit it.
I did a funny vampire movie. I did like a 70s exploitation movie, which is like that's like where most of the vampire movies come from. Like in the 70s, they were just shitting those things out. I think in 1979, there's like maybe 6 separate Dracula movies came out that year.
What the fuck?
So maybe not quite 6, but it's several, because there's several. Anyway, this is another 70s movie, but it's not really an exploitation movie. One thing I think is cool about vampirism is how it's been used as like a metaphor for different things throughout history. Like obviously in the original Dracula, it's a metaphor for like dangerous, like Eastern like influences, which is very xenophobic and bad. But that's what the book was about. It's been used as a metaphor for disease. It was used as a metaphor for AIDS in like a few movies. I think like one of my favorite uses of like vampirism to like analyze social issues is in the George A. Romero classic Martin. Which I
didn't know this was a vampire movie.
Yeah, Martin is a vampire movie. So between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, there's like a 10-year period where George A. Romero just made a bunch of movies about how much it sucks to live in Pittsburgh. And one of those movies was Martin, which is a really fucking good movie. It is about this, I think he's like in his late teens or early 20s. He's this young man, basically a kid. He's like super like innocent for the most part. He's innocent for the most part, who has basically been like gaslit by his super like religious, insane family into believing that he is an 80-year-old vampire. And he gets sent to live with his like elderly cousin in Pittsburgh, who basically this cousin's job is to purify Martin, like remove the like evil from his soul and then destroy his body. And so Martin goes there knowing this, that like he's going here to die. And he thinks he's a vampire. He fully believes it. So the way he does his vampire stuff is he has these like needles that he carries around with anesthetic, and he sedates women and then slices their arms open with a razor and sucks the blood like that. And it's very fucking creepy because he's like this really innocent looking kid played by John Amplas when he was pretty young. He's in a lot of George A. Romero movies, mostly in bit parts. This is like his only major role. And he's a super innocent looking kid. One of like the greatest performances in like any vampire movie, because you really feel sorry for him, and yet he's this like horrible serial murderer. It's a super uncomfortable movie. The gore isn't like super convincing, but it's very uncomfortable. The murders are super stressful. About halfway through, there's a chase scene, which is like the most like stressful chase scene in horror history. It's like, I'm not going to spoil anything that happens in it, but it's like genuinely fucking like you get stressed out. It's very uncomfortable. It's very scary. But yeah, this is a really good movie. It's like almost apocalyptic. Like a major theme is that like Pittsburgh is used as sort of this like micro analyst on like the collapsing like late 20th century, like all of the characters are like people who are disgruntled in life in some way, and Martin himself and his insanity are almost like a symptom of this collapsing society. And it's very cool using vampirism as sort of this analysis of like mental illness and social isolation, sexual repression, lots of cool stuff.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, I know I've only heard about this film through you talking about it and praising it, because I know it's one of your favorite films of all time.
It's great. It's so good.
I have yet to see a George A. Romero film that's not zombies. To me, this sounds a lot like a better, more serious take on A Vampire's Kiss. You know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Like it just like it sounds like an
yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And that's a fun movie too. Fun vampire movie that we watched together.
I enjoy that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it looks very, I don't know, it's very cool to see like sort of it's a sort of a what's it called? Psychological thriller almost, but in like the vampire sense.
It's
taking place in the city. I don't know.
It's really not very scary, except for these like chase scenes. Those are really fucking scary. But minus that, it's really more of a drama. It's just a really sad movie. And I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but like all of the like super major plot points happen in the like last 5 minutes of the movie, and it's just totally devastating. Like just one like super tragic thing happens after another. It's like, don't watch this movie and expect to feel good afterwards. It's incredibly downbeat.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I want to watch more George A. Romero because he's such a master of horror.
He is. From what I've seen. He's incredible.
I want to see what's his take on vampires. Brandon, you heard of this movie?
Nope.
Mr. flipping his arms around shit.
I would like to. Yeah. I don't know. It sounds very unique.
Fan.
I love his trilogy. I mean, love is a strong word because the third one's right.
Day of the Dead? I mean, Day of the Dead isn't as solid as the previous two, but it's really good. It's
it's really good. I think the first two are just so good. You know,
that's true. They're fantastic. I would say Day of the Dead is more like Tom Savini's movie than George A. Romero's movie, because that movie's all about like the gore effects and shit.
It sounds like a unique kind of vampire film to take a human element and be like, yes, he's a monster because he has to do this, because anybody who has to like drink other people's blood and essentially they kill them is like a villain, but the way he does it is more humane in comparison to other vampires who kind of lure their prey. And I mean, it doesn't sound like he does that necessarily within the film.
He sort of does.
He sort of does.
He sort of does. There's like I said, there's a chase scene like in the middle of the movie where basically like he's planning to he thinks this woman's gonna be home alone and that he can just sedate her and get it over with really quick. She is gonna die, obviously. He's slicing her arm open, but he's trying to be humane about it. But I won't spoil it. But like it goes completely wrong, and things like spiral out of control, and he has to he's got to do some bad stuff. But yeah.
I mean, like that's an interesting element though, because often in vampire films it's like they'll take him around back, or they'll just like kill him then and there without even thinking about sedating it. So that's an interesting element. But I don't know beyond that. We'll see. I like Romero, like Ethan said. I haven't seen anything outside of his zombie work. Want to see Monkey Shines, but
No, you don't.
I do. I really do want to see Monkey Shines. Are you kidding me?
The ending of Monkey Shines is really fun. Everything leading up to it is just like a horrible slog.
I mean, he's in Toy Story 3. The monkey in Toy Story 3.
I've seen. I think the bar has been very low in terms of monkey theme horror after Chakma and Link. It's Jaws, but with a chimp.
It's not even a chimp. It's an orangutan playing a chimp.
And it's not even remotely close to Jaws. Like it's with Jaws, but with a chimp.
Movie.
Yeah.
We should you guys should do an episode on monkey horror movies.
Oh, there's a selection. Yeah, quite a selection.
I'm already getting some ideas.
Bride of the Gorilla? Come on. 1935 Bride of the Gorilla. Anyways, Chris, what do you think of Martin?
Never seen it. I've only seen a couple of Romero films. Kind of like Brandon, like it only really is zombie films. Yeah, so like I don't really have much to say about this that you guys haven't already said. But I will say like it's one thing that I'm already getting from like us recording this episode is like I feel like for at least in my like kind of like time like watching movies and especially like vampire movies, like I haven't really seen very many of them, and it kind of feels to me like vampire films have like really transitioned into like a lot of people kind of view them as like really crappy B movies, but like I think like
they usually are.
Yeah, I mean I guess there's a lot of truth there, but it is kind of like it's nice to me to hear that like I mean until today I didn't know that Del Toro and Romero did vampire movies. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice to know that there's a place for vampires still around, and hopefully someone else picks up the torch again soon because no one's making vampire movies nowadays, and I'd love to see more of them.
Isn't there someone's making a space Dracula? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Karen Kusama's making a science fiction Western Dracula.
No That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a science fiction Western.
Dracula.
And it's starring Dracula.
Yeah,
that's
great.
As perfect.
I mean, my goal in life, my shonen protagonist, super outrageous, unrealistic goal in life is to one day make Blackbeard versus Dracula the movie.
Blackbeard. Oh my, that is everything about you. It's just pirates and Dracula. Yeah, you got to make that happen. Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
After
Mudman, that's right. All right, Chris, let's get into your final vampire movie.
Okay, well, my first movie was Nosferatu and then Twilight, so now I am staying in suit with The Descent, and
no,
I picked a 2012 movie directed by,
don't do vampires.
Gendy Tartakovsky.
Gendy Tartakovsky? You're picking Hotel Transylvania?
I'm picking Hotel Transylvania. Someone had to do it, and it had to be me.
Someone had to do it.
No, we didn't.
Yes,
we did not have to.
Someone had to.
Okay.
Someone had
in defense of Chris, these are three movies which this encapsulates everything about vampires. These are the three seminal pieces of vampire media.
It truly.
I think not all of them are good.
Wrong, except for the lack of Dracula, but that's totally.
Nosferatu is Dracula.
Yeah, Nosferatu technically is.
Hotel Transylvania is Dracula. It's all about fucking Dracula.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler is Dracula. I mean,
perfect.
Zendaya is Michi.
Zendaya is Michi. Adam Sandler is Dracula. Yes, I mean Gendy Tartakovsky has done at least to me, has been a surprisingly like I have consumed a lot of the media that he has produced. Like,
yes, he is the greatest animator of all time.
Yeah, he did Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, Clone Wars, Batman the Animated Series. Like, he's got an amazing body of work under his belt, and then there's this movie. I will say, the first one is not that bad. I don't think the first one's bad. So, okay, let me run this down. This movie stars Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, Selena Gomez, Kevin James, Steve Buscemi, David Spade, and CeeLo Green. That's an Ocean's 8 cast right there. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's a grown-ups cast.
11.
This is the grown-ups cast.
No, this is a real ensemble film.
Yeah,
this is a real. This is just an Adam Sandler ensemble.
Yeah, and why the hell not? Honestly, like. So the story is about Count Dracula opening this lavish 5-star hotel friendly to all kinds of monsters. But there's also this really like kind of like surprisingly like intimate story about an emotionally estranged father and a daughter in this kind of drama too. Yeah, you know, I know I say that there is some heart in this film, but really there isn't all that much because whatever is there is like, I mean, you know, it's enough to get you by, I guess, and good enough for, you know, like a Adam Sandler kids movie. You know, it gets the job done, I guess. Yeah, but doesn't do very much. If anything, yeah, it doesn't do much. If anything, and yeah, the movie spawned 3 sequels, with the newest one coming out in January of 2022. If that tells you anything by the release date,
really, they moved it.
It doesn't even have like the original cast in it. They did like a Norm of the North where they just like
everyone's gone.
Like, cycled in new actors.
Even Adam Sandler's gone.
Even Adam Sandler's gone.
Yeah. The only person who's still there are Andy Samberg and Selena Gomez.
That's who I watch it for.
I guess
those two.
The only thing I can say is, and like Harrison, let me know if I'm wrong, but is there any other vampire movie in existence that features the song "Sexy and I Know It" by LMFAO?
I don't think so.
Well, that's not
that I can think of.
Ticket price right there, my guy. Like, really. Okay, anyone, you just seen Hotel Transylvania, or is it just me?
I haven't seen
it.
I've seen it. I haven't seen this since theaters.
The second one's better.
The second one's better, really?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. I've only seen the first one so far, though.
I want to do like our Norm of the North marathon, but with these movies. When the new one comes out in January, I just want to dive into this monster madness. I don't know. I love the concept, and I love that Gendy's doing it, and it could have been so cool, but why is Adam Sandler and all of his friends just came out of nowhere to make this movie? It's just like
they rose out from the swamp.
Yeah, they just made it grown-ups Realm of the Beasts, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
My complaint with this movie is that it's just like it's the most generic kids movie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like there's just nothing interesting in it.
No.
There's lots of fart jokes. This very generic like Crudes, Incredibles, like I'm a father who can't connect to his kids. That very generic animated movie plot. And even then, I was like, this is average. I'm enjoying this. This isn't like too bad. Until you get to like towards the end of the movie, where Dracula is like, oh, we have to go out into human society to save my daughter's boyfriend, and they're afraid that like all the humans are gonna hate them, so they drive down to Transylvania, and there's like a Dracula con with like all these people like wearing Dracula and Frankenstein t-shirts, and Frankenstein is like, okay, I gotta clear these people out of the way, so he climbs up the top of a water tower or something, and he does this big roar, and he's like, why isn't anyone scared? And everyone's like, we love you guys, we love Dracula and Frankenstein and the monsters. And I don't know, it's really stupid. It's like, I don't know. Maybe the way I'm describing it doesn't make it sound as bad as I thought it was. Yeah. But I don't know. For some reason, that fucking infuriated me. Like, it's just such a weird thing. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
Brandon,
it is quite a movie.
It's an okay movie. Like Harrison said, it's average. Like, The thing is it is like the most stereotypical kids movie plot. It plays it very safe. Like it's like a movie where they have to get over racism between monsters and human beings, and like it's kind of all of them, but especially this one because like you know, Jonathan is in love with Mavis, and it's like I can't believe I
can't believe you know the names. I can't believe you know the names.
I've seen two of them.
Because she wants to go to Huiwi. She wants to go to Huiwi. That's her motivation.
And it's like that's like it. And then they take away the best part about these monster movies is like when they go into human society as they really are. And like Harrison said, it's like it's not like those movies, but like. My favorite part of Frankenstein.
They just take away any conflict, like immediately.
Yeah, because there's no conflict. Like the whole reason is like Jonathan's weird, and that's why he likes monsters and likes being around them. But like all the other characters just like them because they're like fictional creatures and they think they're cool. It's like when Venom goes. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling a little bit of Venom for you, Harrison, if you haven't seen it. But it's like when Venom goes to the club and they believe it's Halloween.
Oh,
and they're like, it's a costume. You know, it's like that. Whenever in horror movies they do that, it's like great costume, and you're like, oh god. But the second one's better. It's more bad it's funny.
Is that the cruise one or the child one?
No, that's the third one. Is the cruise one.
The second one's the child one. And it's just fun. It also plays it safe, but I found it more funny, and I also saw it at a pre-screening with my friends, so we bagged on it.
Fancy. All I want to say is,
throw some money my way. Why
didn't pay for it? I didn't pay for it. I just went.
He was cordially invited.
By Dracula.
By Adam Sandler.
He got Dracula's invitation, like in the Dracula storyline.
All I want to say is a hotel in Eastern Europe for history's greatest monsters. I'd hate to see what these guys were up to post 1945.
Yeesh.
Yeah. What were the guests looking like there? Quickly, come in. We can hide you. Come on.
That should be a movie.
We need your scientific knowledge. Honestly, to put in my hotel.
It's like the zookeeper's wife, but Hotel Transylvania.
I also want to write a script for what the Minions were doing during World War II, you know?
Well, they got sealed in a cave. They did go out of their way to explain that in the movie. The Minions were sealed in a cave for like 100 years.
Don't you know the Minion lore?
I didn't see Minions.
Bellow Minions.
Bellow Minions.
Yeah, no. Blacula tells us what Dracula was up to during the slave trade. We need Hotel Transylvania to tell us what he was up to during the post-World War II period.
Yeah. Oh my god. All right, Hotel Transylvania. There we go. It's on. It's there. It's been spoken. Brandon, what's your last vampire film?
I'm gonna just shout out Vampire in Brooklyn, a Wes Craven movie that deserves a little bit more love than the 12% it has on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's a little cruel.
Whoa.
It's like modern day blaxploitation, but not by a black filmmaker, but starring like one of the biggest stars at the time, and it was very weird.
Eddie Murphy, right?
Yep, and I enjoyed it. Okay. But the film I'm choosing is actually an art house movie from a few years ago called A Girl Who Walks Alone at Night.
Oh, yes. Shit. I saw a little bit of this. Yeah, okay.
This movie is my favorite vampire movie outside of the What We Do in the Shadows comedy version of the vampire movie. And that's because simply I didn't know it was a vampire movie going in. And when I watched it, it slowly dawned on me how unique of a film this was, because usually in vampire cinema, and Harrison, you can back me up since you've seen so many vampire films.
Yeah.
Like the vampires are often men and they're going after and seducing women.
Yes, typically, yes.
Yes. And in this
they invert
film,
the formula occasionally. But,
yes, occasionally. But here it's like a female going after men, and basically she's mistreated. She's from the Middle East, and like obviously this is playing into the sociopolitics of the arena of the time of where she's from, but it also plays into the gender dynamics you see across the world in like the Me Too movement and stuff. And I find that really fascinating because it's inverting the genre, to make females kind of like revenge seeking rather than just blood sucking because they have to. And then that way you kind of align yourself with this vampire in the film when they're often made to be like the villain anti-heroes of their own film. But here it's like you can kind of believe her. She's going after people who deserve it, like not haters. Well, I guess.
Yeah,
haters.
Haters and the trolls.
Shout out to the vampire haters.
Haters and abusers and such. But also, it's fantastic because she falls in love with somebody and it's like a genuine love, and she has to decide whether or not that's going to work for her given the fact that vampires are immortal. She needs to suck blood to live, and also there are moments where he occasionally showcases the same attributes of somebody who deserves to die. So yeah, it's a very engaging movie. It's very slow burn, but I think it is one of the best vampire movies out there for just like its uniqueness.
Yeah, I've seen this movie by your recommendation, and I'm not too high on it as you are. I thought like people compare this a lot to Jim Jarmusch's movies, which I can totally see, and sort of like how it's paced and how characters communicate with one another. I think this film has an idea, and I think it sort of stretches it out a little bit too much. Like, I could maybe see this as a short film, just because I like the ideas it presents in it, but I don't think like the execution through this romance plot works for me 100%. But and then there's a weird mix of like really serious themes with then like really goofy things. Like the city that they live in is called Bad City. I don't know.
That doesn't
bother me too much.
That doesn't bother me. That's like,
I'm just like,
that's not like,
I too would
so
not
funny.
like to live in a city called Bad City.
It sounds like a comic book name location.
Yeah, and it's shot in.
Sorry, I switched those words out, but
no, it's shot like a graphic novel. The way it looks.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I do like the cinematography of this movie, like the sharp like blacks and whites, of it, like sharp contrasts. Yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't for me when I watched it. I thought it was neat. Yeah. I didn't fall in love with it. Harrison, have you heard of this movie?
Yeah, I haven't heard of it until now. I haven't seen it, obviously, since I haven't heard of it. But I'm looking at it, and looking at it, it looks pretty cool. It reminds me of Nadja, which is this David Lynch-produced black and white 90s vampire movie with Jared Harris, Peter Fonda, and some no-name playing the titular Nadja. Some no-name, I don't know. But no, it's this like queer sort of feminist movie about like Dracula's granddaughter, and there's sort of this like post-war commentary of like how she's trying to live life in America as a vampire. It's not a great movie, but it kind of reminds me of this. I don't know. That's all I have to say. I'm making that connection there. It sounds really cool. I would like to see this movie.
Yeah. Chris?
So I saw the first 20 minutes of this movie because my sociology professor in college played it in one of our classes. But I had to leave class early one day. I forget why, but I remember I was excused from class for that. So I saw like 20 minutes of this movie. And I mean, the movie starts like, it's kind of a slow start,
Yeah.
So like, it isn't like, it wasn't one of those movies that like immediately grabbed me, but it definitely was like a movie that like, for those 20 minutes, I was surprisingly like entranced by this movie. I was just watching, I was like, whoa. And like, there's just something like the black and white, like, cinematography in this film. I think they do such a great job with what, at least as far as I see. And I'm sure they dial it up even more as the movie goes on. But yeah, I mean, like, that's pretty much all I have to say about this movie. Then, otherwise I'd be repeating everything you guys said. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, that sounds really neat. There's like a very like specific subgenre of vampire movies that started with I think Dracula's Daughter, which is a very early vampire movie, like maybe like the second or third Dracula movie.
Yeah.
And it's about like women vampires struggling to get by in this patriarchal society and also being a vampire. That is like a very specific like vampire subgenre, and it's cool to see that people are still doing this like 100 years later.
Yeah, I feel like the sort of the vampire mythos has always been sort of, you know, a representation of bigoted views towards like women and gay people. I would feel, you know, sort of. I feel like we studied this in a horror class. Chris, I don't know if you remember this when we talked about like like vampires. Do you remember vampires are real? And our professor flashed a giant picture. This isn't a woman or a gay person, but he
was like a goatsy, like you did a goatsy.
No, he flashed a giant picture of Epstein. And he said vampires are real.
I forgot about that. That's peak Roy Finch comedy, honestly.
Yeah, but it's sort of like using vampires to denounce sexual behavior.
Right. Yeah. No, the very earliest vampire books, like Dracula and Carmilla, they're all about how like gay people and Eastern Europeans are really scary.
Yeah.
That's like what those books are about.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really cool to see sort of filmmakers now like put a twist on it and put like the people that who these people were allegorizing, like now actually taking up the roles of vampires and what their perspective is on like how, you know, they see the world. It's cool. It's cool. And it's from Iran, so that's also cool. Vampires around the world, you know? All right, last pick. This is my favorite vampire movie. I think this is like my definitive vampire movie of all time. It is a Werner Herzog movie. It is the remake to Nosferatu the Vampire. Yeah, it's Nosferatu the Vampire.
The first one is Nosferatu. The remake is Nosferatu the Vampire.
Nosferatu the Vampire. Geez. Yeah. Copycat. Wow, what a wanker. No, this one is... I feel like it takes all the similar feelings that I get from the first one, but puts it in a different perspective, you know? If you've seen films like Aguirre and Fitzcarraldo, and how Herzog sort of depicts landscape in that film, and sort of this like how sublime it is, I feel like he does a similar way to European landscapes and architecture and culture, sort of to put a twist on what you've said, Harrison, how the vampire story was sort of created as a danger about people from the East. I feel like this takes the Nosferatu story and sort of shows the fragility of the West as itself, and like how they're sort of the monsters, by putting it in this Black Plague storyline and having Dracula in the story be sort of this harbinger of the plague. And vampire movies like to talk about the fragility of humans, both physically and temporally, like in their temporality, you know, because of how they seek for eternal life in unlimited time. And this one just does it in such a methodical and just I can't help but use the word sublime when I think of this movie. Like I think of when like he's traveling up to Dracula's castle and he's going up these big European
that song plays, that like Wagner song plays.
Yeah, the Wagner song
so plays. Fucking cool.
And like the castle, I think the castle is like the same castle from the original. It looks the exact same. Like, so that age is still there from the original film, but now it's like, I don't know, it's just as tangible, and it's just like seeing it now in a newer camera lens makes it all the more old. And it's such a great film. I think, what's the dude's name who plays Dracula in this movie?
Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, Klaus Kinski. He does a bonkers Dracula in this one.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, and
I like that they're legally allowed to call him Dracula in this movie. They don't have to say Orlok. He's Dracula. That's who he is.
He's Dracula in this one, and it's just, if you haven't seen this one, Chris, I really recommend it now that now that you really do appreciate the first Nosferatu, because I think like the first Nosferatu is really good, but this one just like I feel like it takes it to a whole new level, and I love this movie. Harrison, what do you think about Nosferatu the Vampire?
Yeah. It's fucking great. This is another one of the like front runners for favorite Dracula movie for me. Like probably like favorite movie. Like it's really good. Yeah, you mentioned like the fragility of the West. Like I definitely see that. As opposed to like Dracula being this like dangerous outsider. He still is that in this movie, but rather than like bringing in his own evil, he's sort of like he's like speeding up like the natural collapse of the city that he's going to. Like you can see like the city that's like already in sort of a state of collapse. The plague just accelerates that. And there's this fantastic scene where like there's the million rats everywhere and all these people are like dancing outside because there's nothing left. There's nothing left to do. The world is ending. There's nothing left to do but celebrate and dance. And it's just so cool. It's such a cool movie. A
very apocalyptic vampire movie, which is always a fun time. Chris, have you heard it that there was even a remake of the original Nosferatu?
No, I guess I had just assumed that Robert Eggers' upcoming one with Anya Taylor-Joy was going to be the first like remake, quote unquote, of this movie. But I mean, Herzog, does Herzog play Nosferatu or? No,
it's Klaus Kinski plays Nosferatu.
I mean, he's the same dude from Aguirre, that like the main dude and the main dude from Fitzcarraldo, though.
Right. I mean, like I didn't even know that this movie existed. I am definitely interested. Like, especially because like Nosferatu, like I mean, I feel like a lot of these like more, shall I say, like obscure periods of history will kind of get lost in the modern era, because like it's really special if a movie takes place in an era that isn't like well known. If that makes any sense. Like we often get movies from like say in the 1980s America or like 1940s like England or something. I don't know, but like it's how often do you get like a something set any time before the 1920s or whatever? And I mean like that definitely. That in and of itself is interesting to me, and sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's great. Brandon, how many Herzog films have you seen, Brandon? One? I thought you've seen more.
I've seen Fitzcarraldo and I've seen Burden of Dreams, but that's technically not his movie. He's just in it, and that's about the making of Fitzcarraldo. I haven't seen Aguirre yet.
That one's so good.
But I want
Technically, I see a Werner Herzog movie every time I go to the Texas Theater in Dallas, because he has a little promo that plays before every movie.
Really?
He's like, the Texas Theater, they show movies.
We see a Nicole Kidman movie every time we go to the movies.
That's sweet.
No, it's awful.
We make movies better.
We make movies better.
But this sounds interesting. I'm definitely interested in seeing a more modern day approach, even if it's not set in the modern day. Just like something closer made to that time with this kind of concept and character. I've seen like stills from the movie, and it gives me more of a creepy vibe. And I think it's because they kept the design of Orlok, of Dracula, from the original film. And I want to see that in color.
He's a little less anti-Semitic looking in this one. Which is good.
That's good. But they kept the design of somebody who's like kind of exaggerated. Deformed.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But I'm just going to say, Chris, I'm hoping that Robert Eggers movie gets Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu.
That would.
He's played Nosferatu. Willem Dafoe has played Nosferatu in Shadow of the Vampire.
What? I guess we're all right. I'm going.
It's a movie with John Malkovich. I'm not saying he's playing Nosferatu. I'm saying he has played Nosferatu in Shadow of the Vampire with John Malkovich. I forget who directs it. Probably some no name. I don't know.
Oh my god! And he looks just like.
He does, yeah. So it's about what if the actor who played Count Orlok was a real Nosferatu. That's what that movie is about.
What? Oh my god!
Yeah.
I need to see this. Holy shit! Add it to watch list. Fuck. Well, Brandon, what do you think now?
Apparently, this was nominated for like 2 Academy Awards: Best Makeup and Best Supporting Actor for Willem Dafoe, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It's a cool movie. John Malkovich isn't great in it, but it's a cool movie.
All right. Well,
I mean, he's John Malkovich. He plays himself, so whatever.
Oh, he plays F.W. Murnau. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck from Batman Returns. Cool.
From Shrek. I forgot the bad guy in Batman Returns is Max Schreck.
Shrek, yeah.
That's a good fucking movie. I should have taken that one. That counts.
I should have got that.
Because Max Schreck is in it. I should have got that. That looks really good.
Give me that.
Give me that.
Give me that. I'm joking. All right.
Take a video of you saying you're going to kill the president.
Take a video of you saying you're going to kill Dracula.
All right. I think
that's all our picks.
Yeah. So, I think 120 minutes is a good time to choose its final stack. Right?
Yeah, let's do it. So before we do that, let's all just go around and say all of our 3 films, just to remind everyone once again. So Harrison, you want to start off with your 3 vampire films?
Yeah. My films were What We Do in the Shadows, classic vampire comedy, Blacula, and Martin.
Chris?
My films were Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, Twilight, and Hotel Transylvania.
Brandon.
My films were Little Vampire, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and What We Do in the Shadows.
You don't do it in order. You piss me off. He never does it in order. I hate you. All right, mine was What We Do in the Shadows, Kronos, and Nosferatu the Vampire. So obviously, the one that's going to be on the stack is What We Do in the Shadows. So now we got to figure out the other 2. What?
Oh shit! Wait, can I do an honorable mention really quick while I'm thinking of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't choose either of these movies because they're not really like. This is a different type of vampire, but like anyone listening to this, absolutely go see if you have the chance, Mr. Vampire and Encounters of the Spooky Kind. These are 2 hopping vampire movies. In Hong Kong in the 80s. During this very brief, like, Hong Kong supernatural kung fu comedy genre. And they're incredibly fucking awesome. Such funny, awesome movies. They're comedies, so they're funny on purpose. It's not like I'm making fun of these movies. They're really good.
They're like legitimately good comedies. Yeah. Spooky Encounters.
They are. They're so fucking fun. Spooky Encounters is the greatest.
It's so good.
It's so fucking funny.
The hopping vampire in that is like legitimately scary too. I don't know.
He is, and that's a really good choreographed fight scene.
Yeah, it's great. All right.
Yeah. Okay. I got that out of the way. Okay.
One Nosferatu movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd be fine with the original.
I kind of almost prefer the Nosferatu remake, but like the original Nosferatu is like the Dracula movie, right? Yeah. So I think you should include that one.
I think we should do that one as that's the first one we watch. And then I feel like we should like step out of like the country and do an international vampire movie. So I'm thinking either Who Walks Home Alone at Night or Kronos. Because I think that's a very different perspective on the vampire story than the 2 that we already have, you know?
I think Kronos is good because both it is international, it has that different... I mean, Nosferatu is international, but also, like... Kronos is good. Kronos is good because this is a very different take on the vampire mythos. There's very few similarities between that and, like, the traditional vampire. So it's good to, like, step outside of the traditional mythos and see this interesting take on the vampire.
That's true. Yeah. Are we cool with Kronos being on it?
Yeah. Sure.
Alrighty. So I think the order should be, I think we should go Nosferatu, Kronos, and then we finish with What We Do in the Shadows. I think
agree.
That's a good float.
What We Do in the Shadows is also like the like cumulative vampire movie because it like references like all the vampire movies that come before it. So it's a good one to end with.
Okay.
What do you think, Chris? Is this a good stack?
Yeah.
What's your take?
I would say so.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Could be better.
Could be better. How you doing, Brandy? Could be better.
Yeah.
Oh, how you doing, Dracula? Could be better.
Could be better.
Dracula always busted my balls. All right, let's run down Stack's official 2021 Halloweenathon vampire final stack, starting with Chris. Do you want to kick off the stack with your pick?
Yeah. My first pick and our first pick is Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, a film directed by F.W. Murnau in 1922, a German expressionistic horror monster film that has echoed into the modern impression of vampires, Dracula. All right.
Okay.
Next.
Next. Okay. And our next film is Guillermo del Toro's spin on the vampire mythos, bringing in elements of his own culture and his own tragic backstory. Is Kronos, a film about just a tragedy about family, about wanting eternal life, but not for selfish reasons, for thinking about others, and just how that affects family. It's a family movie. Vin Diesel would love this.
It's about family.
It's about family. At the end of the day, it's about family. All right, Harrison, what is our last vampire film?
Our last vampire movie.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, you just said exactly how Brandon always says. That was by accident.
Really?
Brandon always goes, in our last vampire, or our last film.
Yeah,
it's iconic.
That was intentional. That was my reference to this iconic bit, this iconic goof. Sort of a spin on a classic, sort of my own twisted skew on this classic, this classic text.
Much like the movie.
Yes. What We Do in the Shadows is very funny, and if you've watched a bunch of vampire movies, or if you've watched 2 vampire movies, it is it's very good. It's like this is like the culmination of every vampire movie before it. It's very referential, but in a way that, like, if you haven't seen a ton of vampire movies, it's still incredibly funny, and it's a good watch.
Boom. And there we go. There is our almost feature-length episode. I bet you could have watched...
Oh my fucking god.
You could have finished Nosferatu before finishing this episode.
You can edit out all my tangents if you want.
No, we're keeping it. We're keeping it all in, baby.
Okay.
That's it. That is this episode of Stacked. I'd like to thank Harrison. This episode has been a long time coming. I know this. So it's finally...
Thank you so much for having me on.
Have you on here. Yes. Harrison, let's plug some shit. What do you want to plug?
Yo mama.
Theoretically, I have a DracuQuest podcast coming out in the future.
Yes.
Not sure about that. Me and a couple friends, we recorded the first episode. It still hasn't come out. So I'm not sure. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But, stay tuned. And then Ethan and I are on a D&D podcast, Jungles and Dragons. It's about 4 monkeys who go to the Forgotten Realms, which is like a classic D&D setting, go on an adventure. I don't know. We have fun.
And please, for the love of God, please listen to Draculas and Draculas. I think that is...
Oh, God.
It is legitimately one of the funniest playthroughs we've ever done yet.
So... Earlier this month, we did a one-shot using Vampire the Masquerade, which is another tabletop game like D&D, about 3 Draculas going to the Seattle DraculaCon, featuring Ethan's classic character, Hogula.
Classic character, Hogula.
God, that was a good episode. Yeah, we're on Spotify, we're on Anchor, we're on YouTube. We have a Twitter.
I'll have all the links.
Draculas and Draculas. Yeah, you take care of that.
Thanks, I got all the links in the description below. I got you, bro. All right.
I've only got one thing to say, guys.
Yeah, Harrison's Letterboxd will be there too. What do you want? What's your one thing?
You're dead, and out of this world.
Yeah, that's good.
What is that? What is that thing? What is that reference to?
Yeah, sorry, I don't think I got that. I think that went over my head.
Yo, mama.
Oh, fuck.
Fucking hell!
I'm sorry, I can't work with this guy.